All right, guys. Hope everyone's doing awesome. Just going to jump on a little bit early for this Facebook Live. One of my calls moved, so I thought I'd jump in now. So, guys, I'll wait for everybody to jump on and just let me know you guys can hear and also see me. Let me just check the group. Should be able to see myself. Yep, we're good to go. All right, so this is for the 100K and the ACH group as well. Being that we can only do one live per group, I'll just answer all the questions here. If you're here, hi Joanne, sorry. Can you guys just let me know you guys can see and also hear me? Why does Facebook Live always look different? They keep changing it. Hey Fritz, awesome. All right, so I've got no schedule today, guys. Beyond just really asking or answering your questions, I'll go through the group as well just to see if anyone's asked any questions. I can answer them on the spot. If you've got any questions, I was about to say unmute yourself, but this is not a Zoom call. Just let me know below. We can see and also hear you. Cool. All right. If you got any questions, guys, just write them in the comments. Anything in regards to ACH, guys, 100K, let me know. I'll just go through this group, these questions as well. And yeah, we are a little bit early. Sharon, awesome. Cool. All right. Hope everyone's doing awesome. Also, if you're in the 100K group, just confirm as well. I just posted in there about adding the third day to ACH, and we've just added the next date. So it's still the same dates. It's just one day more. Hope you guys are excited about that. It's going to be a cool extra day, a little bonus day. All right, let me answer some of these questions. If you've got any questions, guys, don't message me. Just write them in the comments. Okay. All right, what do we got? No worries. What do we got? Man, you guys rock in this group. Thank you, guys. Everyone jumps in and answers all these questions too. It's crazy and a bit scary because you guys are starting to sound like me because the responses I'd give are the same what you guys are giving as well, which is cool. All right. So we don't have any questions, guys. That's fine as well. If you've got any questions, ACH style or even Mac, I'm happy to answer them as well. Let's check the ACH group. These questions have been answered, which is good. That's all done. That's all done. All right. ACH question, can you please talk about meeting clients in their reality? I did this with a client the other day after asking three-ish Mac questions and didn't work. Met her in a reality, sprinkles in ETM, boom. What makes this so effective? You mentioned this before, the Ericson use this a lot. Yeah. So there's a couple of things that happen here is when you meet a client where they are, you're also meeting them where the problem is. You know, we talked about in the original ACH how I said you get the problem, you start at the problem, you ask about the problem, and it makes it malleable and you're able to move it. That's the same thing. But if you disregard a client's problem or knowing that it's, not root cause, it's a symptom, and you start in another place or in another direction based on I know what my client's problem is, I've got the best technique for that, it's going to clash. So that's why we always start with what's the problem. That's me saying, where is the problem? Where? Tell me about it so I can stand right next to you while you talk about the problem. And once I start there, I can then make that problem malleable, break it, collapse it, untie the knot, whatever we want to call it. And that enables me to get a better direction. Okay? If, however, I go into it and go, okay, my client wants to quit smoking. Aha, I've got the best technique for that. They're starting here, I'm starting over here. And it's like having two separate conversations. Okay? Now, in regards to Ericson, what Ericson would do is if someone was rude, he'd be rude right back to them. If someone was abstract, he'd be abstract. If someone was logic, he'd use logic. But then there were times where he would use logic against abstraction. And there's another whole layer and gets really messy at that point. But he always meets a client where they are. Never dismiss your client's problem. Don't dismiss the symptom. Don't get in your head thinking, I know more than my client. Because although you do, all you need to know is, okay, what my client is telling me is a symptom. That's all I can know. Where I go from there, I have no idea. Does that help, Fritz? That's probably the best explanation I can give for that. Let me know if that makes sense. Cindy, appreciate your group so much. No worries. Thank you guys for being here. And again, the amount of feedback, or not feedback, the amount of support you guys give each other is fucking incredible. Like, I spend a lot of time in these other Facebook groups, and man, all they do is bitch to each other, complain. Someone will say, I'm doing this with a client, and someone would jump on and say, well, I wouldn't do that. You're wrong. I'd do this instead. It's crazy. But obviously we try and farm that out. So we don't have those people in the group. Okay, so that's a kudos to you guys. I thank you for that. All right, Sharon, I just had lunch with a therapist in my niche who markets the old-fashioned way. I'm super excited to launch my business with you in your system. Yeah, good work. So Sharon, what you can do, contrast. Look at what they're doing compared to what you're going to do. Now, the old school way of doing it worked like 15 years ago. Beyond that even, like business cards, free sessions, low price model. But it just doesn't work. I don't know why people can't get it into their head. It just doesn't work. And what's crazy is people will still live through that marketing model for years, even when it doesn't work, because they're not willing to look at the metrics, they're not willing to look at the end result. Everyone just thinks if I keep doing it often enough, it'll work eventually. Hell no. If it worked, I would teach it. It worked. If I was to teach the 100K coaching program back when I was a therapist, before big social media stuff, it would work perfectly. But even then, it had a lot of flaws. It's a lot easier to do it this style. Karen, hi Scott, do you keep records of your clients, their issues, outcomes, etc.? If so, what systems do you use? No. So depending on legalities, I don't want to get too far into the laws, but depending on where you do your practice, there are some laws in some countries where you do have to keep client records, but you're not deep diving into these records. I don't think it needs to be a lot of information. Especially if you're not a doctor or anything like that, you don't need to have client medical records or anything like that. And Hesham in the group did a great way of explaining that as well. But client records, no, because as soon as I start writing stuff down, I'm now not paying attention to them. And what's weird is whatever I write down is going to be the symptoms anyway. So the only record I had was who's coming to see me when. Now, my receptionist at the time, then I had to start doing this for myself. I could backtrack and go, oh, Jill saw me on this day at this time. Frank saw me this time at this day. Karen turned up here. That's pretty much the only records I had. And that was it. Now, I used to record sessions. And I think it was just audio. I used to do video and audio. Then I found out from a police officer, don't say this verbatim, I don't know if this is true anymore. He just said you don't have to have video as long as you have audio. You're legally sound, but that's coming from a police officer, not in regards to knowing the therapeutic rules. And that was pretty much it. That's the only records I kept. Does that help, Karen? I can answer that more if you want, but I don't keep them. But again, you've got to do your research. Some laws require you to. If you're a part of like one of those government bodies for therapists, they might require you to, but if no one says you have to, don't bother. It's just another layer of complexity on top of a system that doesn't need to be there. Fritz, makes sense. Cool. Yosef, good to see you. So I Scott, when you solve the problem for your clients after one session and you have sold a package to them, how do you react to this? Well, I don't sell packages. That's why I don't sell them. I used to. And then I found out that, wow, I'm actually sort of good at this and it's getting solved the problem in, like half the time that I've sold them into, why would I keep doing that? So again, it's real basics of the 100K. That's why we don't sell packages. We sell results. And then it's your job as a therapist to get results as quickly as possible. Now, if you're transitioning from the old package model into the 100K, which wouldn't be you because you've been in this program for a long time, but if I was transitioning, and I mentioned this in the program, get rid of those packaged clients first. Give them what you sold them, give them based on the information you sold to them, give them that, then move into the new model where you're just selling the end result. And always bear in mind, because I know the next question will be, well, how many sessions in that do I sell? I talk about this in a massive amount of details in the 100K. We don't sell sessions, packages, time, hours, discounts because of that main reason. Because you should get better as a therapist the longer you're in the industry. The more clients you have, you're naturally going to get better at it. Better means faster. So we always just want to sell the end result. And how long that'll take you depends on the type of style of therapy that you do, depends on the extracurricular homework or something you give them, but you should be able to track and see an average. And then when you go to sell this on the strategy calls, just give people the average. So even though I was able to get the stop smoking sessions done pretty much in one session, I would still say it might take us an hour or two. Okay, it might take us 45 minutes, an hour, just depend on what I was doing on the day. And then I pretty much, the way I liked it as well, I would sort of overestimate the time and then give them a result quicker than they thought, because that would wow them a little bit. And I thought that was good value as well. Okay, but if I was starting out, let's say I just learned ACH, I just jumped in the 100K, and I was working with smokers, I'd say it might take between 1 to 3 sessions, because that's sessions if you want to use that model. The best thing we could do is get the first one done and let's go from there. The whole goal is to get you the result as quickly as possible. I'm not going to sell you a package or anything like that. Now, there are models out there. There's still gurus teaching this stuff, teaching like the sell 20 packs, sell 30 packs. I spoke to a gentleman yesterday who said his guru told him to sell 50 packs so he makes more money. Ludicrous. Just bullshit lies. Clients don't want that. Clients want results. They don't want time. Cool. Any other questions, folks? Let me go through this group again. I thought I saw some. Oh, yeah. So a couple people had asked, where was that question? Okay. Do I script out what I say on videos? No, I don't script anything. I might have right at the start, but it got so awkward and mechanical where I didn't like it. So I wouldn't do it. Basically the way I do is I get an idea in my head because of the symptom hunting, and I press record and I can pretty much talk about that issue or that problem because I've talked about it a million times. When I first started, definitely my videos weren't very good. My content was pretty shitty because I was still finding my way. I was still finding my voice. But over time, you just get used to it. So I don't script anything now. So if you're selling a result, how do you track the result if you don't have records? Well, what does a record tell me? What if the client comes back and says you didn't solve it? Will you work with them again? You're in the 100K, Karen. It's all covered in there. So how would a record, what does that look like? Is it like tick in the box? No. The way I know I've got a result is I follow the ACH system to a T, do all the testing, allow the processing. And the only time I ever see a client again is if they ask me or they come back. Now, how do I know that my sessions have worked is because I was getting constant referrals, but I never caught up with clients and never checked up on them. I wait for the client to approach me. But you have to explain if you're using ACH, you've got to explain the processing time. You've got to do the good testing. That's how you get a result. If you look at the more traditional trainings where you're reading the scripts and all that sort of crap, what's the result? It's, I got to the end of the script, I read all the words, and now you're solved. That's terrible. So that's how I track it. Does that make sense, Karen? But again, all of this is covered in the 100K. Definitely don't track records. Because remember with ACH as well, the way that we do it, we're not solving that symptom. That symptom solves itself. So what would be crazy is I could write on a record, yes, became a non-smoker, but they didn't become a non-smoker, but all these other wonderful things occurred where they no longer thought about the smoking anyway. The smoking never became an issue, like it didn't stay as an issue. They were like, okay, well, I don't really care about the smoking anymore because all these wonderful things have happened. And then a month after that, the smoking takes care of itself. So it's very hard to track those transformations. What I see a lot of therapists doing, and it might be sort of your mindset as well, is they literally just tick off the sessions. That's, I sold a 6-pack, 1's done, 2's done, 3's done, 4 done, 5 done, 6 done. That's all the ticks. That must mean it worked because they finished their packages. It's ridiculous. And there is no checklist for that wonderful stuff. Yeah, it's open-ended, especially with the right processing chat. Man, anything can happen. That's all the good stuff. And those coming to the ACH training with the new version when we do the 3rd day, this is what we're going to be talking about. So this will help with you, Karen, as well, to define all those things. Any other questions, folks? So I did the scripting strategy, scripting content. Okay, so this question sort of goes off what Joseph was saying. Client asking for hypnosis from an old package. Yeah, so finish those packages, finish those sessions, then move into the new model, which is all about results. Now, what's crazy is people say like, I'm not making any money, obviously outside the program. I can't sell sessions for $50 or $100. This isn't working. Remember, your clients only buy what you sell them. So if you offer them a 10-pack, that's what they're going to buy. Okay? But what I want to sell them is the result. It's a massive shift in mindset for your clients. Okay? It's the result over the sessions. And it comes back to what Joseph was saying, what I explained is if you sell a 10-pack and you get the results in 2 sessions, what do? And people say, well, I'll work on another problem. I wouldn't, because now you're going to miss out. The metrics is all going to be screwed up. Your income's going to be screwed up. Your goal as a therapist is to get results as quickly as possible. If you have to do the whole script thing, the prep thing, the audio thing that's taken far too long, takes 30, 60 days to get a transformation, why does it take that long? Just because a guru said it has to be that way is another conclusion. Okay, because if that wasn't the case, you'd look at someone like Ericson. He broke all the rules. His sessions were quick. Some were long, some were quick. Okay, but results always should shine over speed, with speed over anything else. Not just constantly selling things to your clients if they don't need it. And again, that comes down to being able to charge more and all that good stuff as well. Okay, because remember, I used to do the $100 sessions, $50 sessions, the packages, and my God, those clients were a pain in the ass. And I wasn't a very good therapist. I still had the same skills, but the frame of my client coming in, having sold them a package or time or a service instead of the result, it was very hard to define the direction to take the session. Okay, and because they weren't as motivated, the big difference in motivation from someone paying $100 to $1,500, that's how the sessions became quick. ACH had a massive part of it, but it's all the stuff you do on the strategy call before. It's all the stuff you set up before. It's the niche, the social media, the strategy call. And for those that were on the MAC training, know the value of that strategy call and breaking those knots on the call. So by the time a client comes in, they're 90% therapized. And ACH is quick regardless, but it's even quicker when the client's 3/4 or 4/5 of the way there. That's what makes it quick. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so someone asked an ACH group as well. When you ask the questions like, what is missing, what part of you want this problem? Oh, okay, yeah, I think I answered that. So that's the parts integration question. So a couple of the last demos, you would have heard me say, to one of the students, what's missing. Now that's context based. That only works in that scenario. The reason that question worked in that scenario is because I think the client we had was saying something like, I'm looking for something. It was something along those lines. And I've just filled in the gap and said, well, what's missing? Okay, that fits that context. So please don't look at it as a language pattern. It's not a question that I could use with one client to a next unless that context allows it. Okay, I have an interesting question. Do we need to exhaust the first knot before moving on to the next? Yeah, so something interesting happens. It's a good question. So something cool happens when you start to untie the knots. I assume that's what you mean by exhaust it. You untie that knot, which means you've sort of opened the door. The processing will pick up from there. Once it's untied, the processing starts. Then you can move on to another problem or another knot, okay? Untie that, the processing starts there. And then you go to the next part of the knot, you untie that. So if you untie 6 knots in one session, that's also 6 individual processing going on. That's why when you get to the end of the session, your client's exhausted mentally because there's so much processing from different angles happening. No wonder they become exhausted. So do we need to exhaust it? You just have to untie it and then just leave it alone. Let the processing do its job. I think that's where people sort of fall flat is they untie it and they keep picking at it. It's like having a scar on your arm. You keep picking at it, it's going to leave a bigger scar. You've got to wait for it to allow the body to heal it. Same thing here. Once it's untied and your client cannot view the problem or experience the problem in the same way, that tells us through implication that the knot's been untied. I can let it go. Cool. Processing, do your job. Untie that one. Processing, do your job. And then eventually all of that processing is going to come together for that massive aha moment. Okay. Saw that. Oh, I missed one of the questions. Okay. Oh, someone might have deleted it. Oh, you can delete questions. There you go. Okay. Also as well, guys, you've got any 100K questions, ask those as well. I think they're all the ACH questions I had. So with regards to weight loss, clients would need time to check the working of therapy in reality with the testing. They're finished with in reality, they go back to their old habits. Yeah, it means you're not getting the root cause. Weight loss is a peculiar one. Weight loss, you have to define your role in weight loss. So I remember having a client say to me, I'll only know this session has worked as if I weigh myself after the session. It doesn't work like that. So with weight loss, you've got to use a bit of logic as well. And I used to define to my clients, all I'm going to do is unblock that motivation. You still need to go to the gym. You still need to eat properly, drink water, stay hydrated, take vitamins. You still need to do all of that. Go hire a personal trainer. My job is to get you beyond that sticking of motivation that you have where you don't want to go do those things. That's all I can do. The old habits, you've got to check, like sugar addiction and stuff they eat. Of course, that's going to be part of the overall knot anyway. You're going to solve that as a part of it. But what my job is to make all of those extracurricular activities that weight loss needs to become easy and natural. That's why we untie that. Okay, but it's not, I'm going to lose X amount of weight after the session. But again, remember, weight is a symptom. If you're treating the symptom, of course, they're going to go back to their old ways of doing things. Ainsley, how much to charge a client if they come with a different problem than your niche? Yeah, great question. Same amount. Look at your metrics. If you want to earn 10 grand a month at $1,500 a client, you need what, 8 strategy calls? Same thing. Because remember, you're solving the symptom anyway. So I did have clients who do the stop smoking thing, even though that wasn't the problem, $1,500. And then one of the results they didn't get was the spontaneous weight loss that I had assumed they would because it's all tied in, but maybe it didn't. And they come back a couple of months later and say, I want to do a weight thing as well. Charge them the same thing. Because I don't just have the ability to help a client quit smoking in that 45 minutes. I can do the same thing with anything. It might take me a little bit longer. Who knows? It might take me an hour, 2 hours. Who knows where we'll start with that niche. But I don't need to know the dynamics of the niche. All I need to realize is, hey, my client says they've got anxiety, they want to quit smoking, they want to lose weight, they've got fear, they've got sexual dysfunction, whatever it is. They're all symptoms. And ACH can work with any of those things. Because the problem they tell us, problem they say they have is not the problem we solve. So I don't have to go and prepare everything and get ready for this brand new thing because it's all the same shit anyway. That's the scientific therapeutic word for it, shit. Because it's all the same thing. Does that help, Ainsley? So same amount. So, and again, no discounts or anything like that. Like if someone came to me and said, hey, I want to do more, can I get a discount? Nope. Same price. Any other questions, folks? I'm just checking these. Okay, answered that. And Ainsley, your question that you asked in the group as well, do you prefer doing sessions in online or person? Always online. And it's the same price. And online's easier, especially if you did ACH. Online's easier because you can tell them to go to sleep afterwards, better processing chat, all that stuff. It's a lot safer. I think that was all the questions. So a good one about symptoms. So someone asked, I don't see it here, but I remember seeing it a while back. Someone asked about seeing common symptoms. Should I go into a session knowing that the symptoms are common? Yeah, you can definitely have that in the back of your mind and you can start in those places, but always remain really flexible and open-minded just in case a new one shows up. Okay, that way you don't get caught with anything. Does that make sense, guys? Matt, what would you charge for a bigger life goal that would take a few sessions to make the transformation? A few thousand? What do you mean by a bigger life goal? What's the difference? And why would it take a few sessions? And again, I'm just saying this based on, it just depends on the type of training you've done. Okay, as far as becoming a therapist or a coach, there's no such thing as a bigger problem than anything else. Just because a client says, I want to change my whole life, doesn't mean you can't do that in a single session. But if it's based off the old traditional sort of training and method, just have a good think about the time. How long do you think it's going to take you? How much homework and all that, if you do it as well, how much do you think that's going to take you to get them to that result? And make sure that's been defined as well. But always start minimum 1,500 because it allows the metrics to be nice and smooth. Okay, I think the max I've seen one of the students, aside from selling something outside of therapy, not like a training course or something like that, I think 4,500 or $5,000 has been the limit that I've seen some of the students charge for a problem, you know, solving a problem like smoking or something like that. More of coaching relationship thing where they want to become a better leader. Again, it just depends on the type of therapy you're doing, Matt, or the type of coaching. Get an average of how long you think it will take. So let's use the old model just to give you an idea. If I knew I'd needed 30 days with this person and I'd have to do X amount of one-on-one calls, let's say 5, plus a bit of homework, some emails, some catch up, maybe a part of my Facebook group or something like that, I would probably do $5,000 for that. But on the flip side of that, I'd also charge $5,000 to see me once because I can do the same thing in that amount of time as I can do in one session. Does that help for now, Matt? Just based on I know the type of training you've had. That's what I'd do. But always go back to your metrics. Yeah, Rebecca, I was actually going to go, I was trying to find your post. I read it the other day. Okay. So, cool. No worries, Matt. Questions are coming up quick. Okay, so Rebecca, this is a good question. How do you ensure that the stories we tell that don't offend clients make them feel as though we are dismissing their problem? If they are upset or offended by the interpretation they have reached, how do you go from there? The client-therapist relationship must have been harmed, so do you build the trust again that you understand them and validate their feelings? Yeah, that's a good question. It's a great question. So the only way I'd see a client coming up with something negative from my story is probably on the delivery that I give them. I think a client would be more offended if I go in thinking I know it all. And by that, it means like, you've got narcissistic relationships. I know I'm going to take you through a regression. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to read the script to you. I would think a client would have more problems with that. But a story, if they're like in the trance type place, shouldn't be misinterpreted based on your delivery. Okay. On the flip side of that, I really wouldn't care. A client can hate me, be offended, but as long as they get the result, maybe that's what they needed. And again, this comes back to an Ericson thing. Ericson had no problem being really rude with people, not on purpose to be an asshole. And it wasn't his ego. He just knew if I went down that direction, it was going to be very quick. So you've got to consider that as well. Does that make sense, Rebecca? That's probably the best way I can answer that. So in Mac, yep. Okay. Oh, sorry, guys. Questions are coming in quick. So thank you, makes perfect sense. Also, how would I go about doing the strategy call with a client that has a different problem to my niche? Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to use the future value deck. You just have to, could you still use the same script questions? The sales script that's in week 2, you just have to ad-lib it a little bit. But you want to get to a point, Ainsley, where once you've read the script like 10 times, you should never need it. You should be able to see the pattern that it follows from this is where you are now, dig into the pain, here's what I can do for you, here's the gap, you can't get there yourself, here's the price, take it or leave it. That's pretty much the way the script goes. And that way it can be ad-libbed for any problem. Does that make sense, Ainsley? But I would not be creating different future value decks over and over because it becomes pointless. And again, once you've used a future value deck a few times, and the student's been really good at this, you can ad-lib the future value deck, which is just another version of the script anyway. Thank you. No worries. So Matt, that helps. Let me know if that doesn't help at all. So are there any more examples of solving physical issues medically using ACH caught on video that you've shared, Scott? We had one for psoriasis, but again, they're symptoms. They're symptoms. So you're not going to see something medical because it's a symptom. All I can think of is the COVID one, the psoriasis one. I think that's it. Remember, I can only use the demos that the students bring. No one's really come with a medical condition. But if it was like pain control on medical condition, I would start in the exact same place. Pain control is a little bit different, but it's all the same thing. I think where people get confused is they say, I can only use ACH for these things here. It must be something different for this medical thing. Why? You get really messy inside your head once you start to split up problems like this is medical, this is bigger, this is smaller. It gets very messy. I started, no matter what the symptom was, I started in the exact same place. Went through the ACH interviews, the interview, found the knots, destroyed those knots, did the processing, there was trance, I used the ETM if I needed to, went into the testing, went into the processing, the tasking, the sleep tasking, same timeline. All that changed was just the content of the problem along the way. So yeah, you've seen those two. So yeah, they're the only ones I can think of. For any of the ACH students, can you think of any more? I think they're the only two. What else have we had? We definitely haven't had any bigger medical things, if you want to call it that. Yeah, not that I can think of. Even in the MAC training, there wasn't anything like that. So that helps, Rebecca? Any other questions, folks? Did we have any more in here? Nope, that's done. Done. Okay, you had talked about pain management previously. Yep, and there's actually a masterclass in there as well. Cheers, Scott. No worries, Yusuf. ACH works for any symptom. Yeah, Hesham. So if you've got any questions, guys, Hesham, I'm going to throw you in the deep end here. Hope you don't mind. If you've got any question in regards to medical, keeping medical records or anything like that, if you have to do it, ask Hesham. Go straight to the doctor. Yeah, someone came up with a good niche. Fiorella, I hope you don't mind me saying, chromatophobia. I can't even say it. It's a financial anxiety. Interesting. I've heard of that before. So it's definitely worthwhile looking into. That's all done. Let me go back through the 100K. Again, if you've got any questions, guys, just write them below. Nope, that's done. Done. When are you doing the next ACH training? Yes, I just posted the new details. Are you only teaching ACH now? No, we've been teaching ACH for a long time. The 100K is still our main program. We do both. Just ACH is live, whereas the 100K is not. I'm just answering these questions because there's more ACH questions than there is 100K questions. Nope. Okay, we've got feedback there. Okay, done. Feedback's done. Oh yeah, for the workshop tomorrow, guys, tomorrow, what's today? Thursday, so Saturday. I'll write another post tomorrow just to remind everybody, but we'll go through just a 2-hour masterclass on how to sell the byproducts. I think that'll help everybody. So it'll be for both of the groups, but everyone that's in ACH is in 100K anyway, so all the same people. the byproducts. Like, how do you sell? Like, it's not the stop smoking, which is the symptom. How do I sell all the other things which justifies my price? We'll do that. So that'll be over Zoom. So I will post the countdown for that and the Zoom link. It'll be recorded. It'll be uploaded in the 100K group. It'll also be uploaded in the ACH group as well, the platforms as well. That'll help with selling the end result. Okay, and being able to explain to the client why you're so expensive. Even though all of this is covered in the 100K, we can spend a couple of hours getting into that. That's all done. So not relevant, but what is the tattoo of on your right hand, please? A stupid mistake of, it's supposed to be the outline of a dead body. Don't ask me why. As a therapist, why the hell I would have that. That was a drunken night when I was in my 20s. That shouldn't have happened. That's what that is. Joshua, when ending the session, is it simply when the client sees the problem completely different along with testing being done? Yep, when the testing's done, as long as the client can't experience the problem, what that tells us is the processing has started. It's not the end of the session. It's really, we could almost define it as it's really the start, because the processing is when all the wonderful stuff happens. Okay, so it's the end of that reality. Where they go into a new reality is anyone's guess. So once you've done the testing, do the tasking, you have that good processing chat, that's when it's done. But make sure you test really hard so they can't retrieve the problem back. Okay? It's always crazy. I'll ask people like, how do you know when it's the end of the session? And they'll literally say, I finished reading the script. I think, oh my God, crazy. No wonder they have to keep coming back a dozen times. Rebecca, when working with clients who take a while to get the result for whatever reason and they begin to feel like it's not working because they lose faith in themselves, what do you do? I think you've asked me that question so many times. It's the same response, which is fine. If the client's problem comes back, it means you've either missed some knots or the root cause is still there. So that's the only conclusion we can come up with. If it's not working, it just means you've missed something. You have to go back and redo it. Okay, Josie, yes, I made sure to give them good processing. Perfect. Yep. And there's nothing wrong, guys, as well. Being a therapist, and I talked about this in Mac as well. Go beyond just being therapy and coaching and hypnotherapy being like, this solves everything. Because it doesn't, it doesn't. It opens the doors up. There is nothing wrong with giving your clients something logical to look at. So let's use the weight loss example before. You do the I will help you unblock all the motivation. So you go to the gym and you eat all the food without being a problem. But if you want to take your business and your career to the next level, what other things can you do for your clients? Okay, you need to learn about, I guess you could learn about food. You could learn about being hydrated. You can learn a little bit about exercise. I'm not saying be an expert in it or maybe send them somewhere else, but some little logical, no worries, some little logical instructions go a long way. So when I was getting really good at doing stop smoking, I would tell the lawyers, because I did my research on this, and I went to a chemist and asked them and got their advice. There are certain vitamins and stuff you can take to restore the body's, I don't know what they call, like electrolytes, or to fix gut health and all the things that are affected by smoking. And I used to talk to them about that. I even came to a point where I'm pretty sure I would send them a checklist of, I wouldn't say go do this, but I'd say here's my recommendations. Now I'm not saying like medicine. I'm not saying anything a doctor would say, but it's just some logical stuff they can do, which not only keeps them busy doing something logical, which is good for processing, but it takes, it differentiates you from, someone stubs their toe and every therapist said, oh, it's inner child work that you need. You stubbed your toe because you need a regression. Like, it becomes the answer for everything. Logic goes a long way. And Ericson was big on logic as well. Just telling people sometimes what they need to hear. Does that make sense, guys? And I help you differentiate. Any recommendations when working with teens? Yeah, ACH still works really well. Now, if you were selling to teens, does that sound right? Selling to teens, you'd obviously want to get, if the parents are paying for it, you do the strategy called the parents. That's the best thing we can do. but it would be the same thing. As long as they're willing and able to answer the questions and they want to resolve their problem. I probably wouldn't be as harsh if it was someone really young. I definitely wouldn't be as harsh in the testing. I'd make it a little bit more lighthearted, but I'd still want to follow the process. But I'm just guessing. I think the youngest person I probably worked with was like 18 or 19, maybe. I think I had one lawyer who was just starting out in law school. 18, 19, early 20s maybe. But under that, I'm definitely not an expert. If you ask Hesham, go ask Vanita. I think Vanita, ACHs and Max, all the teenagers as well. She has a lot of luck with it. I think it'd be just the same process that I'd follow. But as we talked about right at the start, what Fritz asked, I just meet the client where they are. Okay, needs to be a little bit more lighthearted, so be it. But I'm still not going to shy away from asking the right questions. So someone asked, Samala asked, awesome, we'll be able to put this on our website, how to explain what it is in writing on a website. Oh yeah, so for the new 3-day, I don't know if you're on here, Samala might not be, but yeah, we will. Fritz, have you ever had a client who talked relevant to the context and untied their own knots by talking their way out of it? Yep. Go look at some of the demos. You'll see a couple of the demos where they just talk themselves out of it. Now you still had a role to play because you allowed that to happen. Okay, you allowed those doors to be open. But here's the funny thing, and again, this is why we be patient and we'll wait to see. We're waiting for a client to tell us, do they need to be ACH'd or do they need to be MAC'd? We talked about that in the MAC training. Okay, that's that next level above ACH. But if you start to see your clients talk themselves out of their problem, sit back and enjoy it. Do not interrupt because it's just a massive unconscious moment. Okay, and it takes away from just talking at your client all the time. Okay. So if you open those doors and they start doing it for themselves, go crazy. So that one client I often talk about is when he started hallucinating it must have been his dad, one of his parents, and he was literally looking over my shoulder, talking to this thing, this spirit, and I just sort of shimmied out of the way so he could sort of see them better, if that's what was going on. And they're just talking back and forward. But he was playing both roles. Sometimes he would ask a question and go, okay, yeah, I get it. Like as if he was hearing the answer. Cool. Okay, as long as he's not going to have a mental breakdown or something, that's just the way his unconscious mind represented that unconscious moment. Just let them have it. Think about it, like what the hell could we say to a client that is any better than what they can do for themselves? Just sit back with a smile on your face and let it happen. Make sense? Does that help, Fritz? Any other questions, folks? Let me go through. All right, that got answered. Niche got answered. Okay, that got answered. Any other questions? Oh yeah, so Derek had asked a while back, I forgot to ask this during the Mac Live, why is it important to do live Facebook videos as opposed to just posting videos? So, and I answered this already, but I'll answer it now. Facebook will always share lives better. Okay, lives better. It would always share lives more because it fits into their metrics. Okay, when you upload a video, it's like uploading something foreign. When you post links on Facebook, it doesn't like those either and will stop sharing it because it doesn't want people going away from Facebook. It wants Facebook to be used in all its glory. So doing a live, Facebook will appreciate that more than just uploading a raw video, okay? But we do say do both. Live's always better as well because you can talk to your audience. Same live you do in a group, same live you can do on your Facebook page. But do both. So I'd have Facebook Lives, I'd have the raw videos. I would take people from Facebook over to YouTube. I do that usually first thing in the morning. That's now my first post because we've got YouTube videos happening all the time. But I know it doesn't get shared as much as if I do a live. It would get shared in the hundreds, whereas that link won't get shared at all, but I'm still going to do it, okay? Because I also want to build up my views and my audience on YouTube. But if you can keep people on Facebook will appreciate that. Instagram will do the same. YouTube Lives, which we're going to start getting into now. I've sorted out my time better. if there is any possibility of doing that. We're going to be doing that, so you'll be able to see the metrics for that. So Hashem, you owe me money, mate. I missed a client by solving his problem on the strategy call by using Mac. Told ya, I did it too. Bina, I have to start doing lives. Lydia, this is my new edge. I have to start doing lives on Facebook, but I don't want to. Yeah, no one wants to do Facebook lives. Trust me, guys. When I first started, I hated doing Facebook lives. But then I weighed up the end result. Was it more painful to do a Facebook live or more painful to go have to get a full-time job? I would hate to have a full-time job. I would fucking hate it. I couldn't think of anything worse. I'd hate to work for people and I'd be a horrible employee. So I just weigh up the risk and I weigh up the outcome. And I do that with everything. Is it more painful to give up my Sundays and work for 12 hours straight, even though I know I should have a day off, than miss out on possibly helping someone grow their business and missing out on a potential income for my company, but also at the same time helping another person out of their issue? That weighs heavy on me. And I'd rather do that. It's more painful not to do it. Your focus keeps changing as you move, perhaps as you move your hand, just FYI. I don't know what that means. Are you trying to ACH me 20? I think that's what you're trying to do. So what do you suggest the time frame for Facebook Lives? Yeah, so time frame, there is none. Should it be 10 minutes? It can be 1 minute. We posted up, it was an old video that I found on YouTube that I did a long time ago. I used to have a lot of them. I used to do sometimes Facebook Lives for like 3 hours. It was literally just like Q&As. I know people won't have the time to watch them now, but I did 3-hour Q&As just on Facebook Live, and I did that, no worries. Some of the focus of your camera. I'm not sure what you mean. I might have missed that. Keep changing as you move. As I move the camera. Okay, yeah, that's just Facebook because it compresses the video. So yeah, some of your lives can be short, some can be long. Just depends on how long you can talk for. But we used to do a lot of live Q&As. We actually haven't one for a while. I should probably get back into that. Where I would pretty much what I would do here. I'd go onto my Facebook page. I'd do the whole, I'm going to be live in an hour. I do all those posts like I teach. And then I just have, let me answer every question about your business. Let me answer every question about hypnotherapy, whatever it is. We used to do a lot of those. And I would just answer questions. Yeah, the only time you want to have something over a longer period of time is YouTube, because, I can see that focus moving now. Sorry, guys. Is on YouTube for getting paid by YouTube. Has to be over 8 minutes. Okay, because you have to be able to monetize those videos. Short ones don't work. Now you can do YouTube shorts and stuff like that. And we're getting into that thanks to my VA who's kicking me in the ass to do that. But it's an easy thing to do. It doesn't take that much time. But YouTube has a certain reason for being a certain amount of time. Anything else is fine. I've learned to love Facebook Lives. I've done 150 lives since January. We have embodied what we teach. How can you empower others if you cannot empower yourself? Yeah, I 100% agree. Sorry to ask, or let me, so I want to empower yourself. Yeah, it's like when people say to me, Scott, I want to work in the anxiety market. And I go, okay, cool. And then they say, well, I'm too scared to do Facebook Lives. Or they say, I want to help women to grow their business, but I'm too scared to do the outreach. Big conflict there. If you're not willing to do those things, how can you teach other people to do it? So I agree with you 100%. Bina, sorry to ask, but the ACH in August, what's entitled in the third day? So the third day is going to be how do we sell the byproducts? How do you explain ACH? We're sort of moving it towards how do we sell ACH, because I noticed a really cool phenomena. Students that before they did ACH, even though they're in the 100K, they still really struggle to sell the things at like 1,500 and beyond. Okay, they really struggle because they were selling the old traditional stuff. What's crazy is I didn't even see this really coming until I looked at it. Now they're in ACH, they found ACH easier to sell at $1,500. So it made me think, well, why don't we spend a whole day, even though I say don't sell hypnotherapy, why don't we spend a whole day learning how to sell ACH and it's speed. Because I see that's the biggest block people are still having. How do I sell something that can be done so quickly? We'll concentrate more on that. So that's what the third day is going to be. Does that help, Bina? That's what we're going to do. So Ivan, how do you deal with fast-talking, analytical client and trying to spot unconscious moments? Is it experience and a matter of time if the ums are subtle? Yeah, so it's definitely experience. Yeah, when a client's talking a lot and talking very fast, they are harder to spot to an extent. But you just get better at it. The more you do it, you get better at it. I can't really explain it any other way. It's like driving your car. Okay, don't have to think about anything. You just do it, and before long you end up where you should be. No problems. You go to sort of the extent of where you hear so many and see so many unconscious moments, then the next problem arises, which is which one should I look at first? We know the answer doesn't really matter. So it's like you get a whole smorgasbord of unconscious moments. It doesn't matter which one you pick, they're all going to end up in the same place. But that's that sort of evolution you go through. The less you use ACH, the more you rely on a script, the harder they are to see, because now you've got conflicting information sort of coming in. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, Josu, how long should we wait to reach out for a testimonial? Yeah. So what I used to do with the lawyers is once I'd done the session, once I'd done the testing, I'm pretty sure I would ask straight away. Actually, I know I did. I'd ask straight away and say, hey, would you mind sending me a quick video of what happened? I even sometimes would jump on the video with them. It'd take like 1 or 2 minutes, because I knew the lawyers having their own businesses, and I knew that testimonials were important to them as well. I knew they'd appreciate that. If a client says, no, I don't want to do it, let the processing go for a while till it settles down, and you can see those things that have settled down. And sorry guys, got birds flying outside. Then I would ask for the testimonial, but I don't want to leave it too long. Okay. If all my efforts fail and a client says, no, I don't want to do one, fine. They don't have to do a video. If they want to send you a screenshot or a testimonial via Messenger, like you guys do to me, that's fine, but you can only push a client so much. But I'm definitely not shy not to ask for them. So Lydia, I've not done ACH. When is your next training? So if you go to the top of the 100K group, the post, which I pinned up the top, has all the dates. Let me show you what that looks like. Where have I got it? I'll pin it to the top. And it looks like, if you can see it, exciting announcement. So that's got all the details. Okay, if you scroll down, it's got the link for the program. Click on that, and that'll give you all the details. Daphne, do you recommend doing all therapy through Zoom online? Yes, absolutely. If a client needed to see me face to face and there was no issue with COVID or anything like that, I'd still charge them the same, but they're definitely not coming to my house. I don't want to have to go rent an office, so yeah, I'll just say no, just do it over Zoom. And you can explain it to them as well. Like, it's safer for you to do it at home. You can, the instructions I give you at the end of the session, they're going to be easy to follow. If you go from home, you don't have to travel anywhere. It's not going to cost you anymore. I'd do that. Does that help, Daphne? Rebecca, I'm not sure if you've experienced this with older clients, Scott. Do you think being a younger affects your client's perception of you? I've been told too many times by clients on sales calls, you are very young. You are younger than me. I've asked my age, I'm not sure. Yeah, I used to get that all the time. And it used to piss me off a lot because I knew I was good at what I did, especially in my 20s when I was really hitting the ground running. I would... Yeah, I think I used to just say, well, fine, go find somebody else. Okay, but you're going to get it. But remember, that could be a part of a knot. Any of those little excuses or conclusion, that could be a part of a knot. But my first client was in his 60s. I talked about this. I did my first client. That doesn't sound right. I treated my first client on my parents' couch. I told them to go out. My mentor chucked me in the deep end. He set me up with this guy. Did the session of stop smoking. He was in like 60s or 70s. He was so fucking old. And that's the first thing I thought. What the hell? I'm like 17 or 18. still a little bit shy, still learning this craft. What the hell am I going to do? But it ended up being one of the best clients I've ever had, and he loved it. And he reported back to my mentor, said he'd done great, I'm no longer smoking, been smoking for 50 odd years. So yeah, you're going to go through that. So Lydia, I maybe have the opposite issue. Yeah. Same for Tawny. Daphne, yes, thank you. No worries. Yeah, I always look at those things like, you're too old, you're too young. That's a not for me. It's the same sort of thing when someone says, I don't know if I can quit. Will this work for me? I've been to a therapist before. I've tried everything, blah, blah, blah. That's just a not. You sort of put yourself in a position where your client needs you more than you need them. So, have you an idea of date for the Ericksonian breakdown you were going to do? I already did one. The other ones I need to find more of them, but some of them are so fucking ludicrous, I can't even follow. I'll be honest, there are some that I look at and just go, I have no idea where he's going. I can still see the common ACH things, but a lot of the time I look and go, I have no idea why he did that. I can't work it out. So that one I did the breakdown of, that's a pretty good example of that. But some of his stuff, man, like, I wish you guys could hear the audio tapes and the VHS videos I used to have. There were some that, man, I can't even begin to describe what he was doing. I remember had one on VHS, it was a very bad quality VHS, where there was a guy and Ericson was sitting in front of him, sort of like the way I set you guys up, sort of sitting in front. Sometimes he sit to the side, sometimes he sit behind his client. That's another ball game in itself. And a client came in and sat down, they started recording, and it was a real client. You could tell like the guy was really nervous, looking at the cameras like, shit, I didn't know I was supposed to get on the camera and all that sort of stuff. Real old school VHS rolling tape. And I think he said his problem was, I have severe anger issues towards my kids or something like that. And Ericson just looked at him and just went like this. That was pretty much a whole session. And there was like complete, like maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes was a long time, but it was a long time of just silence, him just looking at this guy. And this guy's just sitting there like this, mouth open, in trance already for some known reason. And Ericson just shaking his head like this. I can't describe what that is. I have no idea why he chose to do that, but I wouldn't be able to break that one down. But if you look at the other stuff he does, just like if you compare the ACH sessions, sometimes he talks a lot, sometimes it's logic, sometimes it's abstract, sometimes it's a story, sometimes it's metaphors, sometimes just him nodding his head, sometimes it's just a mixture of everything. But I have to find some ones that have like good quality audio so you can also hear him. Otherwise, it's sort of pointless. Hopefully one day when I've passed away, you guys will do my breakdowns for me. So this is what Scott was doing. I'll leave that up to you, Ivan. That'll be your job. So is not a new term? Yeah, not's the way we describe solving a client's problem. The way we just like see a client's problems like a knot, like a shoelace gets caught in a knot. We untie that knot and the problem essentially goes away. You solve it. Any other questions, folks? In about 2 more minutes. I think I answered all these questions. That one's done, that one's done, that one's done. That one's done. Done. Pretty much answered all of them. So like I'll just remind everybody, I'll make another announcement tomorrow about the workshop. Again, it'll be recorded, it'll be uploaded into the platform. If you can't make it, you don't have to be there. About selling the byproduct. So what we'll do is we'll do a lot of logical stuff. We'll make some lists of your byproduct results that you're going to be selling outside of the symptom, of course. And that way we can justify those higher prices. Okay, we'll go through that. We won't go through the sales script or the future value deck because we've already done that in the other masterclass. But I just want to talk about this byproduct things and help you guys with that. Oh yeah, so someone asked, what are the main questions people are asking for video testimonials? So we do have the, what is it called? We do have that resource in the 100K, the killer testimonials worksheet. But if you don't, there are quite a lot of questions, and that's a good. I think it's about 8 or 9 questions. They're good to do like an interview. If you go look at the 100K interviews I've done with you guys, you see I have certain questions that I ask. All we're trying to do is get a client from where they started, what their experience was like, and what life is like now. Okay, that's a good interview strategy to have. If your client says, no, I just want to do a quick 30-second video, just ask them to explain what life was like before, what life is like now. Just a contrast between those two. That's what I would give those clients to answer. Does that make sense, guys? Did I miss any of these questions? No, I think that's it. All right, so we're up to an hour, guys. We'll get last round for questions. If not, we'll end it there. I'll leave this live in the group. You guys are welcome to look through it. That's all done. That's all done. Okay. It was like 2 months ago. All right. US, if a client comes to you for the second or third session, do you still ask again what the problem is? Yeah. Maybe not in that context, but I'm going to say what's been happening since. Because that way I'm starting where they are. So let's say my client, let's use the weight loss thing, okay? Do the first one, they say, I think I need to come and see you again. You say, no worries. They come in and say, okay, what's been happening since? They might say, well, I went to the gym a couple of times. I felt really good. I've been drinking more water, but for some reason, I've still got that sugar craving. That's where I'd start. So, okay, what's the problem with that? What do you mean? Explain it to me. How does this equal that? Normal ACH questions, but that's where I'd start. So always ask what's happening since. All right, questions. All right, people, any more questions? If not, we'll call it a day. And I'll make some more announcements tomorrow about the workshop. It'll only take maybe an hour, depending on how many questions we have, but it will be uploaded and recorded. It'll be a Zoom link and I'll post it in the group. You're welcome. I'll post it like we normally do, like 15 minutes before we start. But again, you don't have to be there. It'll be recorded. All right, 82 questions. That was great. All right, guys, that looks like it. All right, I'll leave you with that. If you have any other questions, just post it in the group, tag me in it. And guys, enjoy the rest of your weeks, and I'll see you guys on the workshop on the weekend. Bye for now, guys.